What's up, YouTube? It's Coach Cory, and today I'm going to give you guys a map breakdown on how to play the new showdown map, 1,000 Lakes. Alright, so let's get into it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I am loving the new 1,000 Lakes map. I put about 5 hours into it the other day to try and get a really good strategy guide for you guys, and I really enjoyed the gameplay. I thought it was really varied, a lot of fun. Guys, let me know in the comments what you think too. But of course, for this strategy guide, I will be telling you guys who the best brawlers are for this map, of course, and who not to play as well. But I also want to give you guys some map-specific tips. You know, like different parts of the maps, where you should be going, where you shouldn't be going, depending on what brawler you are, what to look out for. And let's start out with the map-specific tips, and then I'll tell you guys who the best brawlers are. Alright, so I feel like one of the first things I really noticed with this map was that you definitely have to be careful about the bushes. There's a lot of different bushes on 1,000 Lakes, and it's really easy to get surprised, to be honest. So you have to be really careful to be checking the bushes all the time on this map. You have to be very careful and not just be running continuously without checking bushes. If you do, you're very likely to be surprised and someone's just going to walk out and deal a lot of damage to you with auto aim, and you will have no chance. So you have to be very careful. Make sure you're checking all the bushes as you go and you won't get surprised. Alright, now let's talk about some of the different parts of the map. So obviously the most notable part is the middle. Now I'm going to talk about this again later, but let's talk about how you approach the middle of the map in the early game. Now, there could be anywhere from about 3 boxes to 6 boxes in the middle of the map. So it definitely can be tempting. And if you go to the middle and you're able to get those elixir, those boxes, you can definitely have a good advantage throughout the rest of the game. But to be honest, if you're really going for consistently gaining trophies, I'm gonna recommend you probably don't go in the middle. But there's a couple exceptions, and maybe there's a couple different ways you can do it. If you're a brawler who can super out of the middle and you think you can probably get your super, then you can definitely go in the middle, and those are probably the only ones I would really recommend going in the middle to try and get those early boxes, is brawlers who can escape the middle, because it's really easy to get trapped on both sides, as especially in landscape mode, it's really easy to tell if someone's in the middle, and people know it's really easy to trap you there because there's only 2 ways you can escape. Of course, unless you have that ability to super out with whatever, a jump, say you're Crow or Piper or El Primo or whoever, or even Dynamite. You could be a Mortis as well because he can escape somewhat easily. So any of those brawlers, you could go in the middle, but my other approach would be to try and get 1 or 2 elixir first, hopefully at least 2, maybe even 3, and then try and get the boxes in the middle, as you should have a bit of an advantage over some of the other people who are trying to go for the boxes in the middle. Otherwise, I would recommend not really going for those boxes. Another part of the map that I think is important, but is probably a little bit underrated, at least right now as people are figuring out the map. One thing that's very different about 1,000 Lakes compared to other showdown maps is there can often be 1 or 2 elixir in each of the corners of the map. So this is definitely different from the other maps. People are used to having to go in towards the middle for the most part to try and get their elixir. Now this can be a really big advantage. You can often get 2 easy elixir in the corner of a map with no one going for it. I would definitely recommend, if you are a brawler who can take a good amount of time to kill a box and get that elixir, to try and go for the corner of a map. Oftentimes those are less popular areas of the map, so you can get a little bit of an easier elixir there. Now of course it's going to be pretty random. Maybe someone else is thinking the same thing too, you never know, but I would recommend it if you are a brawler who might take a while to kill one of those boxes. Or even if you just want to avoid fights, it can also be a good idea to just go for the elixirs in the corners first. Another tip is oftentimes in those 4 lakes in the northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest corners of the map, there's those lakes with 1 or 2 elixir usually. It's a not bad place to go. I like that area, but if you do go for that elixir first thing, I would say be prepared for a fight. Oftentimes, there's at least one other person going for those elixirs too. One of my best tips for Thousand Lakes is you want to try and put yourself in situations where it's really hard for you to be attacked on two sides. So obviously being in the middle is the prime place for that to happen. But I feel like on Thousand Lakes, it's honestly kind of easy for you to get surprised or cornered by other people. So what I like to do on this map is to go from north to south or south to north on either the left side or the right side. I feel like you have a lot of cover in those places and you can easily dodge and weave your way out into different situations, and you're typically not going to get in too much trouble. You still can get cornered, but it seems to be like it's harder to happen on those sides of the map. So I would recommend you go on either the left side or the right side and be going from north to south and looking for enemies, or even just finding a bush to camp in and hiding there too. Alright, now let's talk about the end of the game. Definitely one of the most iconic parts of Thousand Lakes is you have to decide whether you're going towards the middle or how long you want to wait until you get there. Of course, whoever is in the middle has a distinct advantage over people trying to get into the middle, as they have to go through them and into their shots. But if you are in the middle, you're open to being attacked from two sides, and you might have nowhere to escape to with no cover to stop you from being shot. So you have to determine when you want to go to the middle. If there's two people left, I would say try and get to the middle right away and secure the middle, as that way they have to come to you and you have the advantage over them, unless of course they have a lot more elixir than you. But if there's more than two people, you might consider waiting a bit to see what situation plays out and if you can get some easy shots or build up your super before going to the middle and then making your way in. Alright, now let's talk about who are the best brawlers on Thousand Lakes, who to use, who not to use. So first off, I think Crow is the strongest brawler on Thousand Lakes. He's just able to poke around those corners really well, get a lot of chip shots, continuously poison people, and his ability to jump is really key on this map. And besides the fact, Crow is actually just really strong right now, even with that nerf. Another brawler who's really strong on this map, and in general, even though he got nerfed, is Colt. Colt still does a ton of damage, and this map has a good amount of open spaces where you can get a lot of shots in, so it's still definitely recommend Colt. Some other brawlers I would recommend would be Spike and Ricochet. There's a lot of corners they can shoot around and get a lot of poke damage and get a lot of damage where it's harder for people to hit them than them to hit the opponent. So they're still definitely good to strong on this map. Pam is not bad. Pam is definitely strong right now in general. She's okay on this map. Poco is okay. Tara is decent. Brock is definitely not bad as well. Bo is okay. Throwers are definitely pretty interesting on this map. I think they're pretty decent. I would say throwers in general are strong in Brawl Stars right now. I wouldn't say this map is really great for them though. There's not a lot of areas where they can really force people really well into shots, but throwers are strong right now in general. And if you have Dynamite Star Power, you can use it to escape or get into the middle, which is definitely not bad, maybe a little bit underrated. Now, the brawlers I wouldn't recommend using would be tanks in general, and Nita and Shelly. It's not, oh, and Piper as well. Piper's just not great in Showdown. But it's not so much that you can't use tanks and Nita and Shelly, it's just that you're going to be much more inconsistent with them, as there's a good amount of parts of the map where they're not going to be able to get a lot of different damage on the enemy, as people are going to see them coming and they're just going to be hard to get shots on them. It's a little bit hard for you to surprise people at point blank on this map, except in a couple small areas. So you can definitely use them to some degree. It depends a little bit on what sort of different brawlers are in the Showdown matchup with you. If you go into a Showdown match as a tank and there's a couple other tanks, it doesn't really matter. But if you go into a Showdown match as a tank and there's a lot of long range guys and mid range guys, you're probably going to struggle as a tank unless you're just hiding most of the game. Alright guys, those are all my tips on how to play Thousand Lakes. Let me know below how you guys are enjoying this new map. How would you compare it or rank it to the other Showdown maps? Personally, I think maybe I need to play more time to really know, but it definitely is probably one of my favorite 2 at the least. I do really like it. Alright guys, that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you later.